Mr. President, thank you so much for your time here at the set here, sitting with us here on the national television TBC. My good name is Agnes Tuniga, and I welcome you to this program.
Thank you very much. I'm also happy to be here to respond to the question, and it's a great privilege for the African Court to be presented to the nation, to the world, about his mandate, about the challenges that we are facing. So it's a very great opportunity for us. So we are the one to thank you also.
Asante sana. Karibu. When we talk about the African Court, what is the difference of your court, the African Court, that you're supervising as the president, with the ICC, that is the International Criminal Court? Yeah.
It's a very interesting question, because most of the time the common people make confusion about African Court and the ICC. But there are many differences, although we are fighting to protect human rights. The African Court is a court of human rights, protect human rights. And you can see 2 or 3 differences that we can talk about, not without going into more details. But the one difference is the fact that the parties before the court are, of course, the individuals or NGO and the state parties. When we take a decision, is against the state parties. The state parties are the respondents, while in the ICC, they are individuals that are being prosecuted for massive crimes, for crimes against humanity, genocide, this kind of crime. And also another difference is the structure of the court. In the African Court, we don't have the prosecutor, while in the ICC there is the prosecutor.
Okay.
We can be seized of the matter, and also we can sometimes hear people to say that but there are some crimes, there are some violations here and there. Why the African Court is keeping quiet? No, the African Court should be seized when there is alleged violations of human rights before examining the case and take the decisions. So these are some of the differences that we have with the ICC. Of course, sooner or later we'll have also this jurisdiction. I'm sure that you heard about the competence, the jurisdiction that the head of state, the African Union, has given to the African Court by expanding his mandate to the criminal jurisdiction. But this protocol has not been yet ratified by the head of state, so it's not entering into force, although it has been adopted in 2014 in Malabo.
Yeah, but that is a long period of time, since 2014, and it's not yet implemented.
Yes, you are right. At the beginning, we thought that as soon as they have adopted that protocol, it will enter into force, because it needed 15 ratifications of 15 countries before it's been operationalized. But since then, since a lot of noise from the member states were against the attitude of the ICC, you know, dealing with African cases instead of going everywhere to prosecute all state or people coming from other region. But since then, nothing has been done. The protocol is there, has been adopted, but no single country has ratified the protocol. But you know, the ratification is a sovereign act, so It depends on the state, on the member states, where they want to go with this new protocol, expanding the mandate of the African Court.
Oh, thank you very much for that very good explanation. But there are other courts like the ECOWAS, COMESA, and now we have the African Court. What is that so unique your court is doing then? Why do we have other courts then, if yours is sufficient enough?
Yes, your question is very pertinent, but after all, we are protecting human rights, even if we have many courts. The most important is that human rights are protected. But there is also a difference here, because when you talk about ECOWAS, is limited to the African West countries. COMESA and the East African Court also have their own area of jurisdiction, and the court is most broader because it takes all the African countries, the 55 African countries, provided that all the countries.
So you mean these are mainly for the regional blocks, yeah?
Yeah, this is just REX, what we call the REX regional community blocks. So it has nothing to have with the African Court. Of course, it would have been good to have a unique court dealing with everything, dealing with all the countries. But since we are not yet there, I think that it's good that we stay like that for the time being. Perhaps in the future we can have all the countries ratifying the protocol, and then perhaps they will find a solution, either to have only one court. Okay, I think it's the political will of the leaders, themselves.
Okay, now let's look into the relationship between African Court and the African Commission.
African Commission, you mean of human rights?
Yes.
The African Commission. Okay, the African Commission is a quasi-judicial organ, having also the same mandate of protection of human rights in the continent, but also having the mandate of promotion of human rights in the continent. So the decision of the African Commission are recommendations. That's why at a certain moment, the leaders, the African Union, find the necessity to have a judicial organ that can give binding decisions. So this is the difference. The African Court give decisions that are binding. The African Commission give recommendations, and you know what means recommendations. But after all, we are dealing with human rights. We aim at protecting human rights. These are the differences between the two organs. But the relationship, we have meetings every year to have an harmonization of our relation, because the Commission and the African Court have a complementary role in protecting human rights. So we have that relationship, we have that meetings to harmonize our view so that we can work together in protecting the human rights in the continent.
Since the time in 1998 when it was adopted that now we have the African Court, it's only 30 member states that have already ratified out of 55. Why is not everyone on board with the rest?
Everyone,
till today, yes.
You mean all the others, all the other countries?
Yes.
Perhaps it's a question that we should ask to the leaders, to the states that have not yet ratified. But in our part, we have put in place politic of sensitizations. So this is the strategy that we use to go all over the countries to convince the leaders. When we go there, we meet the head of state, the ministers, and all stakeholders, all partners, to convince those states to ratify the protocol, but also to deposit the declaration. Because
yeah, but
there is
Mr. President, what are they saying? What seems to be the challenge that they're lagging behind for those who have not joined?
I think that they take their time, because it's a political will. It's an act of they have the sovereignty to do so. So I think
to decide on their own. Yeah.
So I think when they will be ready, they will ratify. But of course, it will be good that all the countries ratify the protocol, because they are the one who have adopted the protocol. They are the one who have set up this court. So it's not normal that one part of the population, I mean those who are in these countries that have not ratified, they don't have the possibility to seize the court for alleged violations committed by those countries. So it's not normal. So for us it will be very good that better that all the countries ratify the protocol. So this is our intention. This is our strategy, that we go all over these countries for this sensitization.
I understand that you are marking 15 years of service within the African Court here in Tanzania, ever since it has been staged in 2006, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
What are the major achievements that you see to date, and of course, you being the president of the African Court?
Yes, major achievements, although there are still many challenges. The fact that the court is better known because of these strategies of sensitization, to go all over the countries, all over to meet all these leaders. So I think the court is now better known. This is one, and also the fact that I think the court now is a mature when dealing with case of human rights. So this is one of the challenges. But as I said, there are many challenges. Also, we have this kind of successes, and we are still working to resolve these
challenges. Of course, to be specific there, what are the main challenges that you see?
The main challenges, first, the fact that only 31 states have ratified the protocol.
Okay.
As I said, it's not normal that 15 years after the operationalization of the court, only 31 states out of 55 states. We can ask ourselves, why have they created the court if they are reluctant to ratify the protocol or even make the declaration? So this is the challenges, the ratification. The other challenges related to the ratification, of course, is the declaration, to make the declaration allowing individuals and NGO to have direct access to the courts. Yes, and also another challenge is the implementation, the slow rate of implementation of the decision that the court say. Some states, they just hide themselves behind their sovereignty to to refuse to implement the decisions that the court made, or to take the time, if we can say so, before implementing decisions of the court. And also another challenge is the mechanism to sanction, for sanction of the states that have not implemented our decision. These are some of the challenges, and of course, above all, is to make the court known by all citizens, by all African people.
Okay, Mr. President, let's talk now on the issue of legal aid service. There are victims that come to your court there, and they are hindered by not having, or needing that they need to have a legal aid. So what is the African Court doing now to make sure that these victims who are there and they need that, then it's provided to them? What plans are there? Is it being practiced already?
Okay, thank you for this question. Yes, the issue of legal aids. The legal aids is already practiced at the court, because when we have alleged victims, of course, we check if they fill the conditions to get the legal aid. I mean, being indigent and all these conditions. And then we offer them the assistance, to be the assistance, and of course assisted by a legal team chosen by the court. This is at the level of the court, of course, but also there is another problem that can be posed by the victim. This is the court alleging that at the national level they did not get the assistance of the legal of a lawyer, and then the court have decided at several occasions that is a violation of human rights not to be assisted by the lawyer, especially when it comes to criminal affairs where they are before the court for major offenses, and they have not been assisted by a lawyer. And we took a decision. We took a decision, and in the constitution, I think the new constitution not yet adopted. I take the example of Tanzania.
Yeah.
They have taken into account of this decision, and I think in one of the provisions, it's clear that the legal aid is now a principle to be implemented here. So the legal aid is a main point decided by the court as violation of human rights if the victim is not assisted before the court.
Okay, now talking about this time now that we've passed through, the issue of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, how do you manage your judgments within the court?
I think at the beginning of the pandemic, it was a panic everywhere, of course.
Yeah.
And, but at the court, since we have a very good team, very good registry, we managed to overcome this issue. Now we have developed, like other courts, like other institutions, like now everywhere, the system of virtual conference, virtual meeting. So our sessions are doing by virtual conference, and now that the pandemic has not yet ended, we plan also to have a public hearing, also virtually. So I think we have solve the problem, and everything now is doing electronically by virtual conference, because we cannot stop the protection of human rights.
Yeah.
So we had to think of solutions to continue delivering our mandate. Yes.
Let's look into Swahili language. I understand it's one of the official languages to be used within the African Court. What is the position of Swahili language, especially within the translations and interpreters, also to be, having chances to get an employment, because the African Court itself is staged here in Tanzania, so benefits also should be to the natives or the local Tanzanians?
I think it's a very good point, and it's now coming every time we are having a conference meeting with the journalists, especially here. This issue has been raised several times. And, but of course, Swahili is a major language of Africa, and it's even stated in our rules, in our provisions, and we are taking this issue seriously, and I think we'll deal with this issue and give an appropriate response. But what I can say for the time being, of course, when we have parties speaking in Swahili, we take all necessary measures to provide the interpreters or the translation into that language. But I think with time, of course, it is clear that we should put in place a permanent measure to deal with Swahili language. But we are taking that into consideration because Swahili is the most, if I'm not mistaken, the most spoken language in Africa. So it's clear that if we have English,
French,
Arabic, Portuguese, we should grant a very good importance to the Swahili. So I think we take that into consideration, and I'm sure that something will be done to have a permanent Swahili, I think, interpreter translation for all the cases that we have.
I recall the Tanzanian government has located a site where the African Court can be staged or permanently. What is the status? Where has that reached?
Okay, your question gives me the opportunity to express the gratitude of the African Court to the Tanzanian government, to the Tanzanian leaders for the, for all the facilities that they have given to the court. Currently, we are located to a very nice building, but it's just temporarily. Yeah. But also, we should acknowledge that the government is taking all necessary measures, because they have granted a big land next to the mechanism. The mechanism, I think, at Laki Laki. So we have a very big land
in Arusha.
In Arusha.
Yeah.
The drawings are ready. Just some formality with the African Union Commission. I think the architect has been designated, and everything is on the process. It's a slow process, because there are many things to consider. Yeah. They have also the funds to raise and everything. and I think everything will be done at the appropriate time. But we have very good meetings with the government, with the African Union, and every session of the African Union we raise the issue, and I think it's ongoing. And since we are expecting to meet the President of the Republic, His Excellency Samia Suluhu, we think that we will raise also this issue with her, and I'm sure that she is very sensitive of this problem. But for the time being, we are located in a very nice building, and I want to reiterate the gratitude of the court for that. Of course, we want to have the permanent one, and I think we are in the good way since we have already the land, as I said, and drawings and everything.
Thank you. Now looking into, lastly, of course not least, but to ask you, with your time as a president, what do you think is your milestone that of course would be your legacy behind?
Thank you also to consider my legacy. The legacy is what we have just said about the successes, about the fact that now the court is well known, is respected.
Yeah, it's becoming popular now.
Yeah, it's becoming popular by the decision, by the fact that it has shown that it's an independent court, impartial, and it can deal with cases in total serenity. This is, I think, one of the major legacy, because it's the role of the court to give impartial decisions. Also, in the same vein, the fact that the court is known now, and when we visit the countries, when we go for sensitization, they are already aware of the court. So I think now the strategy become easy to implement, to reach all these leaders about the court. I think these are the major legacy that we can leave to the court.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Thank you
you
so much, Mr. President, for your time. It has been nice chatting with you.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
Asante.